Today's LEGO City update is going to be a massive one. I'm taking a slight step away from the main section of mountain on the top platform and working on the front section of table just below the campground, which is where we will begin today's video. First step, of course, is adding the base plates and then the really repetitive part, the mills plates, as well as the ballast track foundation. I have pre-built 3 sections of ballast track which I'm attaching now. So basically the idea is that the train will come out from underneath the campground platform on the right hand side, travel across the front section of track, and then it would disappear again underneath the train tunnel on the left hand side. I have also built a smaller tunnel which will eventually have a walking trail leading from that to the campground platform for minifigure access. I'll also integrate that into a rock face a little later. Next was adding a rock face on the right hand side train tunnel and integrating that with the pedestrian tunnel and have that built up to the same height as the campground. Now I am experimenting with a bit of a different rock face building technique, one that I have not yet used before in the city. It's basically a combination of every dark grey slope there is, mixed in with normal bricks and inverted slopes. The inverted slopes really helped me to gain height without losing too much depth in the base plate, and that was really what I needed in this tight little space as it's already quite close to the edge of the train track. Now the whole point of the front section of this table here is to try and lose the fact that there is that campground platform there, so I'm trying to get rid of all the squareness by building things out where possible. I decided to make this tunnel on a 45-degree angle for more interest and again to lose the squareness of the above platform. To achieve this, I need to use hinge plates at the top and the bottom of the tunnel. Once it was put back in place, the top hinges are attached for support. To be able to move the wall to the correct angle, the lower hinges are placed on tiles. With the wall now sitting at 45 degrees, a quick test with the train is required. I promise you guys, this is just for testing. I am not doing this for fun. Maybe. Anyway, next step is to use these brick hinges to create a large concrete panel which will sit inside the tunnel. I need this to be built at an angle so it gets back in line with the campground platform. Once this has been placed, I'm left with a really weird shape to fill in. As you can see, there are 3 inverted bricks with tiles on top where this triangle plate will be placed. This forms the ceiling of the tunnel, and now I'm just going to do another quick test run with the train to make sure nothing hits. Everything looks all good, so time to move on to the section behind the train tunnel. As you can see here, I've actually added 2 half dark grey base plates and the lighthouse as well. That small area will become a nice little cove which will include a beach and a tall sheer rock face coming off the concrete wall of the train tunnel. Just before I start building some more rock work, I'm adding another 4 studs of light grey bricks to the face of the train tunnel. I'm actually starting this rock face a little bit differently than normal. I'm adding 2 layers of dark grey plates before I connect the first slope. As you can see here, I'm adding 1 layer of black plate and then a trans blue tile before I place the first slope down to really give the impression that the water is crashing in amongst those rocks. I've added the small beach and now I will continue to work on the rock face. With the rock face now complete, it was time to move to the other end of the table where I start working on the other entrance for the train. I've actually decided to go square with this one but still at a different angle than the other 2 tunnels. I then continue to build on the outside edge of the table using a combination of light grey bricks which will meet up with the height of the train tunnel entrance. I also add some bricks modified in there so I can add some vegetation on the side wall for a little bit of contrast against all of that light grey. I'll just skip over this part for you. I did continue to build on the light grey wall, but then changed my mind and cut it back to add a rock face into the corner just for a bit more interest and again to lose that squareness. I also added to the front entrance of the tunnel with some tiles and masonry bricks on the outside to give it a little bit more of a substantial look in comparison to the other two tunnels. With that done, and as mentioned earlier in the video, it was then time to start laying the foundation for the walking trail. First, I had to continue the rock face on the left side of the tunnel to meet up with the campground platform. To build the rock face across the tunnel, I used mostly inverted slopes to give the impression that the rockwork had been carved around the tunnel. It also makes the tunnel look deeper on the base plate than it really is. I then added slopes next to the train track, which will sit in front of the walking trail. I gradually tapered the rock face from the train tunnel entrance down to ground level. Before starting the walking trail, I had to decide what colour to use for the path. I decided to use dark tan as it was the perfect contrast with existing areas in the campground and it paired nicely with the dark grey rockwork. I've built a platform with dark tan bricks and plates leading up the hill which will form the pathway and a base to build the rock wall. This is the part that I always really enjoy, adding the finishing touches to bring the area to life. With some vegetation along the edge, it really softens the rock wall and adds some contrast and colour. I've also extended the walking trail over the train line which leads out to the beach. It was also the perfect spot for a really tall tree which forms a shady canopy over the walking trail. In the coming days I will blend the upper and lower areas together, but to see the progress so far, it's now time to have a look at the before and after photos. This is what the area looked like before today's update and now afterwards. With that being said, thank you very much for watching, and as always, I hope to see you all again in the next one.